revelation for you?
Well, I honestly believe, like, as women, we do have this instinct, right? We have intuition.
Right.
But when we are constantly manipulated, constantly experiencing gaslighting, constantly lied to and betrayed, somewhere along the lines, our intuition is eroded and
Yes.
we lose hope in ourselves. We start doubting ourselves. We start saying, well, maybe I am tripping, because for so long we were told we're tripping or we're crazy and all of these things. So in the back of my mind, I knew that something was not right. But I constantly found myself Googling, well, signs of X, Y, and Z, and what if this happens, and how to do this, and how to repair a marriage after this happens. So I found myself Googling everything and trying to find answers on my own. And once I had got to the end of my rope, being 8 weeks postpartum, having a 4-year-old to deal with, barely keeping it together, that's when I was like, okay, I need help. I need to get professional help. And that's what I did.
Times when I was so done with being the sacrificial lamb, because that's really what it was. I guess there's a false sense of humility that you have to suffer for the cause and all that stuff. I think there was a time I never thought about being so low that I would take my life, but I thought a lot of times about I wanted him to see me not be there, and I wanted to see what his response was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I didn't feel like I would take my life. I just wanted to see what his response would be. And it wasn't until he told me that he would take my life and then go help look for me with my family that I thought he doesn't give a damn. I mean, like, who says that, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until he said that, and I thought, okay, now I have to protect myself. Like, I think up until that point, I was in this mystery, magical, I don't know what it was, but I never.
You truly disassociated with your trauma. I mean, and we hear about that all the time, right? I mean, people are in a circumstance and you learn how to navigate through your circumstances based on the tools that you have. There are some people who may not navigate in the same way in which you did. I mean, and this is for a different time and a different place, but I have my own share of circumstances that I went through. And like you, I never felt like, oh my God, life is over. But, we're all wired differently. But at the end of the day, what I hear you saying is that you chose to continue to press through, but you did have to disassociate with what you were going through in order to press. And so you fulfilled your time and your space with so many other things and activities that you didn't really have to face your reality on an ongoing basis until your reality was in your face.
Right.
Right.
That's right. That's right. And I didn't, and it didn't get in my face until so when he was at work and he's doing whatever he's doing, it didn't start to affect me. I mean, I didn't pay attention to the effect that it had on me until
No, you didn't.
until we got to the place where he said that. When he said that he would take my life and then go with my family as if he was looking for me, he would help put up signs and walk,
like a Lifetime movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so I
those.
think at that point I realized, okay, this isn't, something's not right.
So let's go through. You have baby number 3, you have baby number 4, and now you're living in this state of chaos, quite frankly. Showing up as this jovial, happy person. We all know you are the peacemaker, the pleaser, the friend. You're the connector. You're everybody's best friend. Everybody loves Cheryl. That could be a show. And literally, because everybody loves Cheryl. But the reality of it is, what we recognize for those who are listening to it is that you can have people in your own intimate space and not even really know the intimacy of the person.
Right.
And so I think that
you know, we were going to carpool. So we were still just making plans. And I did notice that he had something in his hand, but it was like mail. And I found out later that it was a gun magazine. It was different messages subliminally that he was sending to her quietly.
So you think that she knew that he was going to do it?
Absolutely. I believe that she was afraid to be alone with him. 100%. And she just didn't tell me that.
Way, you know, I was like afraid if we went out to talk to anyone, to smile at a waiter, do anything.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
So what made you say enough is enough? Or what was the big aha moment? Did you have an aha moment that made you say enough is enough? Was there a big blow up? What happened?
So I was up in his college town. I had graduated, and up to this, I think, you know, as I was saying, there was a lot of tension, a lot of arguing, and I was starting to kind of push back a little bit, and push back in the sense of like, hey, you know, if you're not going to meet me halfway, or if you're not going to give me a commitment, what's the point? So I was starting to get a little bit stronger and be open to the idea of maybe we would break up. And it wasn't because I had met anyone else. It was just, you know, like this portal of a little bit of light was starting to open and give me a little bit of perspective, like this just, it's not fun. It's not healthy. And anyway, so, you know, and I think I was starting to push back instead of coddling him when he was in a bad mood, just like, why, you know, what now? Or things like that. So I think I was starting to
sound like it had started to get old.
Yeah. And I was starting to push back and find my voice again. And because at the beginning, of course, it was like, oh, what do you want to do? And there was, you know, the romance of a relationship beginning, but then it just seemed to kind of go into this mundane, monotony, and I remember, I mean, there were just so many ways he would kind of attack my character, and just like I just didn't know, you know, I just like in every way possible, I would get confused because it's like, well, you chose me, but now you're mad because I talk a certain way, or you're mad because I went to a certain kind of high school, or you're mad and you think I am not identifying with my race because I play tennis. And I remember one time I was up visiting him, and his university had a lot of like really cool things going on, like on campus. And there was a music, like classical music thing. And I said, hey, you know, let's go listen to it. And, you know, he's like, oh, that's for white people. And, you know, he's like, oh, that's the white person in you. That's why you want to go listen to it. So I'm like, so I can't even be me. Like, I can't, you know, and then it was like, you knew I was mixed when we got together, and now you're mad I'm mixed race. Like, you know, so it was like, there wasn't a safe place.
Right.
There was, you know, I just felt like in this house of mirrors. But anyway, so toward the end, I was really, you know, starting to kind of push back on things like that, and not just sit there and be like, oh yeah. And so we got in an argument, and just our voices got heated, and I was in his car and in the passenger side, and again, he's a football player and was a college football player, and he punched me in the face, like just, you know, cross, you know, my head went back. I just remember clutching my hands and like taking my hands away, and there were shards of my sunglasses in my hands, and, you know, blood on my hands. And I had my eyes closed, and because I was afraid to open them, I didn't know if there was glass in my eye. And I just said, take me to the hospital. And so he drives me to the hospital, and I don't really, what I do remember is, and I remember being really
years. But one thing I do know, if you decide to leave these circumstances, is that you will be alive.
Yeah. Yep. That's the key. That's the key.
And if you have ever been in a situation where you didn't know if you would be, life means so much more when you don't know you'll have it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a podcast of Another Woman's Story. So I'm so excited. We've got so many things in store for you this month. If you didn't already know, this month is Domestic Violence Month, National Domestic Violence Month. And so Another Woman's Story, if you didn't already know, is an organization designed to keep the conversations going as it relates to domestic violence. We want to dispel the myths. We want to make sure that everyone is educated, not just the people who are in the situation, but those who can possibly assist in helping the survivors come out of that situation. And so tonight and for the next 4 weeks, for the next 3 weeks, we will have special guests. We have words of inspiration. We have music. We have entertainment. We have just people lined up that want to give and offer some of their gifts, skills, talents, and abilities to help in processing this movement. So tonight I have a few guests with me. Initially, we're going to talk. We're going to do a little bit of a meditation, but I would like to admonish you tonight and for the next 3 weeks to please go ahead and start chatting. Give us some feedback. If you have questions, now's the time to answer. So many times we do the podcast and then I get the calls the next day. So what about the girl that last night, if you are able to hear, if you have questions, if you want to ask something to one of the guests, or you have a question about domestic violence, there's nothing that's too dumb to ask. Okay. I've been in the situation, so I understand. But if you don't understand and you want to know why or what took so long and things like that, please feel free to chime in to the comments. If you haven't already, share this page. We really want to make sure that we get the word out. And so tonight's guest, just opening up, we're going to have Dr. Nicole McCarty, and she's going to lead us in just a little bit of peace and meditation. So I'm going to bring her on. Hi, Dr. Nicole.
Hey,
What should we call you? I already
hello.
know you, so it feels like, should I call you Dr. Nicole, Dr. McCarty? How do you go?
Whatever you want. Dr.
Okay, I
Nicole, I
like to
don't
say
care.
Dr. Nicole. That just sounds so personal. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor, and you
Okay.
do whatever you do. And once you're done, I'll come back in, okay?
Okay.
All righty.
Alrighty. So glad to be here. We are just going to do a couple of minutes of meditation in the form of connecting with our breath. Our breath is our life force, it's our life source. Uh, Without it, we cease to exist. And so, more importantly, it's a part of connecting, right? And it's where we can connect to the innermost parts of who we are. So let's get down to it. Okay, so where you are, I want to make sure you're safe. So if you're driving or something, please don't close your eyes. But want you to sit in a comfortable space. Okay, whether you're seated in the chair, seated on the floor, you might be laying in bed. I don't know. But sit in a comfortable space and gently close your eyes. Allow your top lid to gently touch the bottom. So don't squeeze them tight. Just gently touch the bottom lid and just relax your body. Just relax your body. Like don't think about anything else. Don't, just relax. Don't worry about if you are thinking about something else. Just relax. Your mind will wander. It's okay. You just bring it back to your breath whenever you notice it wandering, and that's fine. So You're seated, your back is straight. Of course, you don't want to be slouched over or anything. So your back is straight, your eyes are closed, and I want you to bring your attention to your breath. Now, it sounds weird, right? But as you hold on to the sound of my voice, I want you to remember or remind yourself that your breath is yours. Okay, so you don't need to be afraid of your breath. Oftentimes, I'll ask people to take a deep breath in, and when they blow out, and no one wants to blow out because they're afraid of their breath. Listen, if it stinks, it's okay. It's yours, right? So don't be afraid of your breath. Just think about your breath. Your eyes are closed. You're not worrying about anything. Your body is relaxed. And you are noticing both your in breath and your out breath. And you're just noticing it. Yeah, you're just noticing it. Visualizing yourself breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. You're just breathing. And each time your attention wanders, which it will, think of a word, a safe word. I always joke, I remember the Kevin Hart special, pineapple, right? So, think of a safe word. It can be something funny and jovial like pineapple, or it can be something strong that fortifies your spirit like faith, or hope or anything like that. But think of your safe word. And anytime your attention wanders, just repeat your safe word to yourself and bring your attention back to your breath. Okay. Sometimes people say, well, I say my safe word a lot. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Remember to feel the art and the act of breathing. Okay. I want you to feel it in your body. So, not just a mere, my chest is moving up and down, but how does the oxygen and the air, how does your breath flow through your body? All right, so I'm going to give you some clues or some cues to kind of help you navigate that. I want you to notice how the air feels moving in through your nostrils, both of them, okay, and out. Notice what that feels like. Oftentimes, when we remove one sense, then it heightens the other. So, as your eyes are closed, it will allow you to be a little more cognizant of what's happening in your other senses. Notice how the air feels moving through your mouth, through your throat. Okay, you may feel a slight raspy or a little ragged as the breath moves through those parts. That's okay, that's normal, right? But notice how it feels as it flows. Notice how the air feels as it fills our chest cavity, okay? As it empties the chest cavity with every out breath. Feel your rib cage rise slowly with each in breath and gently collapse with each out breath. And you're just noticing your breath here. You're not changing your breath, you're just noticing it. Notice how your back expands and contracts, okay, with each breath. Feel it shifting and changing as you breathe. And notice your belly as it expands outward with each in breath and pulls inward with each out breath. And allow your attention to fully enter the body sensations as you breathe. What does it feel like as it moves through you? How connected are you in this moment? How disconnected have you been? And now take 5 full breaths. So now we're changing the breath here. Take a deep breath in through the nose of you, it's yours. Nourish it. Deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. You deserve all of the love, all of the comfort, everything your breath gives to you every day. I want you to give it back to your breath. Deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. With every breath, you should relax a bit more. You should feel closer to yourself. Sink deeper into who you are. Deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. You are more than enough, and you are love. You are the epitome of love. So love yourself enough to connect with who you are. And on this last breath, I call it a cleansing breath. So I say we're going to take up everything from the week, everything from the day, like dig into the nooks and crannies, get the baseboards and the ceiling fans, get all of that, gather it up, deep breath in through the nose and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. And when we release, I want you to let it go. Exhale out through the mouth. Now, reflect on the moment that you just experienced with yourself. How close and connected did you feel to who you are? Who you are when no one else is around, who you are when no one else is watching, who you are when you're not in these social media streets, like who you are. How connected did you feel to that beautiful, amazing, unprecedented person? And never be afraid to go back to that connection. Never be afraid to connect with your breath because it's yours. It's God's way of loving you and nurturing you every single day and reminding you that you have purpose here. Thank you so much.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. Actually, I actually practiced with you because I was so wound up that now I can breathe. I can breathe. So I appreciate that, Nicole. I have another guest who just popped off. He had a little static in the phone. So we're going to just continue our conversation right now until he pops back in. And actually now I see him coming back in. So Jay, give me a thumbs up. I can see you in the green room. If you're ready to come on, I'm going to bring you on. Is that okay? You ready? Okay, I'll give him a couple seconds. Just give me a thumbs up. I can see you in the green room. You ready? He's talking, but I can't hear him. Okay, so let me see if I can bring him on. Can you hear us?
I can hear you all perfectly. How are you?
We're fine, thank you.
Oh,
Fine,
What
thank you for
beautiful
coming
people you
on.
are. So beautiful, both of you.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
you
thank
both.
you.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me on.
You're welcome. I thought you might want to share a few words. I'm going to pull Nicole out, and Nicole will be back because we still have a lot to talk about, right? So I'm going to move you really quick. All right, Jay.
I'm up.
You're
Y'all
up,
ready for me?
sir. So Jay, tell us a
in
little
this
bit about yourself first. Can you do that? And then go ahead and give us a few words. So let me just explain what's going on. So if you didn't, if you weren't here at the top of the show, I was letting everyone know that this month is National Domestic Violence Month, right? So I had just kind of an epiphany about how this looks in the community. And so what I wanted to do is bring on some people that I know, some resources that I know that are positive, that have words of wisdom, words of affirmation, resources, whatever that is, to give us some support in this process, right? So there are going to be men on the show. There are going to be couples on the show. I have a lot of things in store this month. So Jay is a friend, and I wanted to just have him share from his heart. Whatever you want to share, Jay, I'm going to pull up myself out and I'm going to give you the floor.
So I have a little bit of feedback. Am I choppy or am I staticky, or can you all hear me pretty
It's
well?
just low. I can hear you, but it's just a little bit low. Your volume is just a little bit low.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I salute you and thank you for the work that you're doing to bring awareness to um, such a taboo topic, um, especially in our community. So I'm grateful for your voice and for your leadership, and for all of your guests that you've had on who've had some positive things to say and some life to speak into our culture and community. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Mhm, mhm. So, in lieu of, uh, in the spirit of everything that's transpiring out here in the world, this is a really, really impactful topic because I recognize, I can't say all, but a lot of the impact that you all have had um, as Black women, women of color, women period, but definitely women of color in our community, to make sure that we are not extinct out in this piece. So, me being raised by a single parent and by sisters, so my household was governed by women, and just understanding the impact that they have had and predominantly responsible for the person that I've become. I want to do a quick poem in celebration of you all, and just again as people of color, women of color, and the things that y'all have done. I just think you ought to be saluted. So, with that being said, it's no shade to any other culture, but I know the sacrifices, many of the sacrifices that were made by Black women in particular. So, this poem is for everybody, but with a special place in my heart for women of color. So, it's called Black Queen. So, here it goes. We good? Okay, I guess that means we're good. Everyone can see and hear you. Perfect. There's no gift. Actually, there's no greater gift in this life than the than the divine in Black women. You have been anointed with intuition. You became the captain by default when our kings were shipped off to prison. And while we claim to love you, we look up in the sky, but there's no ribbon. And while we wait for the Savior, y'all are the one who's risen. Ambitious before Uber, you've been driven. The original cover girl, even when things aren't so easy or breezy. Clairvoyant, perceiving the unseen like Stevie, no wonder they try to negate your worth just because your skin is the color of earth. Have you ever just seen a Black woman walk away? Have you observed the way the sun has kissed you? The way you've bent but not broken, the way wrists do? You've been holding us together the way fists do. A real king would never stop you from scoring. We just want to assist you. You're the reason why the caged bird sings. So explain to me, how can England say they have a queen when outside of the divine and Black women, there's no such thing? We've been trying to attach to God, but without y'all, there's no strings attaching us to the Creator. But we have this infinite attraction. You draw the line. You're beneath us, holding us up, and you're above us, keeping us covered. Our fraction, a proverb and a proverb for action. No talking. She's feeding about that cheese. No macking. You've been running in this corporate field with little tractions. Sometimes with wigs and sometimes with tracks in. And they rejected us. You were the skirts and the slacks, and you declined. Forced to carry burdens that had to have been much too heavy. This is why you're the heartbeat in America. It's not Chevy. And I know our movies and our music, and if I'm honest, even some of our fists have knocked you down, but for some reason you still rise. You still rise. You still rise. Like flour though. And you making more money ain't about power though. You making more bread shouldn't go to his head or leave him sourdough. You just want him to put some butter on it. So I say, brothers, if she goes to work all day, at least clean up the house and remove the clutter from it, though systematically, absent a father. After all we put y'all through, I often ask myself why y'all even bother. Then I was reminded that a black woman is like a coffee bean. You never know how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And I don't know if you built for tough, but I do know you built for us. But even you need rest. See, everybody else took the elevator, but you took the steps, pouring the concrete on your way up. And I know you've been waiting for us to step up. Yeah, we got alphas and omegas and doctors, but we still haven't stepped up. So I want to thank you for not quitting on us. Even when we fed you crap, thank you for not splitting on us. See, our kings have been systematically and strategically seduced by cars, but don't know y'all the ones under the hood driving us. And we like cracked cell phones. You still work with us even though we're raggedy. Spiritually asleep, we didn't recognize that God was lifting you up, so we became your gravity. Too foolish to see that the NBA and BET was bribing us in side bets on different types of chicks and all types of mixed breeds, sacrificing the broke women to mix the bread, claiming she gives the best head, but she only gives no resistance. So without you, there's no existence. That mothership, that parliament, yes, we hate nagging, but a real king appreciates a good argument. Our phoenix, flying above all this bullcrap, our zenith, Umoja, our superglue. Shalom, peace be with you. Thanking Jehovah sent you back to get us, Saint Kofa. So in high heels or chucks, mess with one of your sheep, gang up on the wolf, no pup. See, we love your big nose, and we love your big bones, no hormones. We love your black lips, with or without weed. And while the oppressor tries his best to ruin me, your language has been love, sacrificer, supporter. And man, Black Queen, you speak it fluently. Yeah, you speak it fluently. Thank you to all the women who have sacrificed and stood in the gap for men, for people, for mankind. So salute to y'all. Thank you.
Jay, that was amazing. I like the part about Chucks because I wear Chucks all the time. No judgment. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay.
It is well.
All righty. All righty. Welcome. Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to bring you back on, Nicole.
Okay.
Oh my
Hey,
God, that was so good.
that was dope.
That was so good. And it sounded like he was talking. So I was,
You know?
I was like a conversation. Great.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Great job, Jay. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Thank you. So you are, we're talking tonight. Oh, he's still saying something. Go ahead. Let me see.
I was just saying, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm grateful.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah, y'all
Thank
so
you, Jay.
beautiful, man. Bless y'all. Bless y'all. I love them glasses.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Great job. Thank
All
you.
right, Jay. Take care. So, Nicole, tonight we're talking about diet and nutrition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the moment that we take a breath. So many times as a person that's in the situation, everything's moving super fast. You don't have a moment to breathe. And so I think that this process at the beginning is going to really give us the opportunity to take a moment to just breathe. You know what I mean? Yeah. 5 breaths at the end, which is what we did. Just those 5 breaths made a difference for me. And certainly in the spirit of being under stress, right? If you can grab a moment, take a moment and just
take
breathe.
a moment.
Yeah.
And often it's not that like if you can if you can grab, you
have
have
to.
to take a moment. You
Yeah.
have to. You have to make you a priority and do that. And it doesn't have to be 4 or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Even if you sat and you took 1 deep breath or 2 deep breaths. And the kicker is, like there's a difference in taking a deep breath with your eyes open and taking a deep breath with your eyes closed.
Absolutely.
And so close is it's that like sense deprivation, right? So depriving yourself of one of your senses, that visual aspect allows you to just be with you and to
Yeah.
love on you. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So let's talk about diet. That
Yeah.
we always talk about diet. Let's talk about how that can assist,
Mhm.
whether it is to assist with our energy levels when they're depleted,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
to give us less energy when we want to relax.
Mhm. So the thing is with diet, and diet's tricky. And diet's tricky because like there's a diet for everything. You got 12 million diets out there. Like the industry is $1 billion industry. You got South Beach, I don't know. They're vegan, vegetarian, your diet, my diet, whose diet, their diet. Like everybody's got a diet. And essentially, what the word diet is just what you consume. So, I mean, your diet could be cotton candy and Care Bears. I hope not, but it could be cotton candy and Care Bears, and that will be your diet. What we have to do, though, and especially us as women, is we have to hone in on what works for us.
Okay.
And that's not something um, that's named after a person. That's something that's all you. So what works for you doesn't work for me. What works for me doesn't work for someone else. And I think it's like it takes time, and that's where people kind of get frustrated. So they're like, well, I don't understand. I'm eating quote unquote healthy foods. I eat salmon and I eat broccoli and I'm eating chicken breast and I'm working out, but I'm not getting the same, changes as so and so who's doing the exact same thing, but she's dropping weight like I don't know what, right?
Right.
And the problem is that because that stuff doesn't resonate with you, and most people don't even realize like salmon is great for some people, but for a lot of people, salmon is inflammatory. It's
Wow.
touted as healthy, and it is for some people. So it's all about finding like what works best for you. And is it a tedious process? Yes. But what it does is it forces you to kind of create this, I say create, but build this intimate relationship with yourself where you are aware of your body. And so you become aware of what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And the only way you kind of know that is by like keeping a diary. And when you feel crappy, go back to what you ate. Like, man, I am bloated today. Don't just like chalk it up to just random hormones. It could be, sure,
Right.
but it could be what you ate, and because our diet is a part of our energy. It's what gives us energy, but it also takes away energy depending on what you eat. And so I like to tell my clients, like, don't get caught up in what you think is healthy or what society says is healthy. Find out what healthy is for you, and don't be so quick to hop on like bandwagons of, oh, I'm going vegan, or oh, I'm going vegetarian, or oh, I'm going this, because that may not resonate with your body. It
Okay.
just might.
So what kind of things can we have
Hmm.
that we can, let's say, grab on the go for a single mom with small children, um, that she rarely gets a chance to eat. Maybe the kids eat first, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then the
Hmm.
day is halfway over. We don't have a whole lot in the refrigerator. What are some staples or
Hmm.
some things we can keep maybe for energy or just a quick snack that's not going to take you up into the high cholesterol range?
Okay. So I always say fruit and vegetables are great, right? So
Okay.
it can be in the form of salad, or it can be, you can take an apple. I like to take an apple and you cut it in thin, very thin slices, kind of like an apple crisp, if you will.
Okay.
So apple slices are great. Or you just take your favorite fruit, whether it's strawberries or bananas or blueberries or blackberries, whatever fruit that is, pineapple, whatever. You take that fruit. Fruit is a great snack, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult. And
Canned or fresh? Can we do canned?
preferably fresh. Preferably fresh. I mean, if you can't do fresh, then canned, okay. But fresh is always best.
Okay.
I'll always say that. And if you live in an area, well, actually, most areas now have farmers markets. And so you can get fresh fruit and fresh vegetables for way less than you would pay at a grocery store from a farmer's market. And you're supporting your local farmers. It doesn't have all the stuff, sprayed on it. Because here's the thing, if you think about food, right? When you shop in a store, we just think we go in the store and we pick it up and we take it home. What we don't think about is the fact that that food wasn't grown in the store. So it was grown on a farm somewhere. It was picked before ripeness, right? So when a fruit is ripe or a vegetable is ripe, it's at its maximum nutritional value. So it was picked before then. It had to be transported from wherever, across the country or whatever, to the store. Then it took time to get that fruit unpacked and out to you. And then we go and purchase it, but then we take it home and it sits in our refrigerator and it sits on our, countertop. That's a lot of time. So
Right.
fresh is best. And if you go to a farmer's market, you are able to get those fresh fruit and vegetables that don't have all the sprays on it that help keep them from turning, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So that's good.
Good. So I feel like when we eat, we're eating to diet, and we should be eating to stay healthy. Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I think is probably the biggest myth out there, is that yes, you might lose weight in the process, but you're really trying to get yourself to a place where you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you need your energy, or you need to relax, one or the other. There's one or the other going on, especially if you're in a domestic violence situation. Things are limited. Maybe your funds are limited. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
Access to fresh foods. And that's why I asked you about canned foods. And sometimes, the
Mm-hmm.
little Dole cups, you give those to the kids kind of thing. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that's not the best option. But if
Mm-hmm.
the best option is to choose fruit and vegetables before you choose processed foods, then that's what we
Absolutely.
want to talk about. What
Absolutely.
in the event that you can't get to the best options,
Mm-hmm.
what's the next best thing? And so to always
frozen and canned.
Frozen and canned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And actually frozen is better than canned, because frozen, they pick it when it's ripe and then they flash freeze it. So frozen and then canned.
Okay.
So if we're looking at like the hierarchy, then that's it.
Okay. Good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
we
then,
have, go ahead.
sorry. And I was going to say, you mentioned eat. I can't phrase how you said it, but eat to live, not necessarily
To
like
lose
you
weight.
eat to live.
Not to
You
lose-
don't live to eat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But don't get me wrong, eating is one of the great joys of life. So I don't want anyone to take away that, the expectation is to eat twigs and berries.
Right.
Like,
She won't be
eating
doing
is
that.
enjoyable.
She won't be
Right.
doing that over here either.
Like, eating is enjoyable. It's just about finding that harmonious balance
Right.
between eating what you like and still eating stuff where you're getting good nutritional value.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. So what do you recommend in terms of, I know people talk about breakfast is the best meal of the day. A lot of times we don't always get to that space. And sometimes we eat right before we go to bed, which isn't good either. So what do you recommend in terms of when to eat if you can't eat at a really healthy time? I always think about it, and this is just my own perspective, is I have to eat when I'm hungry. So if I'm hungry at 3:30 in the morning, I mean, when am I up at 3:30? But I'm just saying, as an example, a friend of mine, up at 3:30 in the morning, I guess it's what I grab, not necessarily the time that I grab. So if I were to grab celery instead of Lay's potato chips, okay. So it's still choices. It boils down to choices.
Yes, it does. It does. It does. I mean, and of course, probably the hardest thing, especially in our culture, not even culture, but in our society is, everyone's like go, 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 go. So it's hard. We don't really have those everyone sit down as a family and eat times anymore. Everyone
Right.
sit down together. Um, and as much as we can try to get back to that, I think that helps because it puts us on a schedule
Okay.
where we can give our body the chance to fast, which means it's not having to work hard to digest. When we're sleeping, our body is fasting, but
Right.
it's also like repairing itself, it's replenishing itself and all that stuff. And so if we eat, I eat at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, eating celery is better than Lay's potato chips, but your body is still working to digest the celery at a time
Right.
where we really should just allow our body to rest so it can rest and recover and repair while we're sleeping, and then break the fast in the morning to eat breakfast.
Okay. Okay. That's a good idea. Um, you have to, I think it's intentional. I think you have to be intentional about what you put in your body, period.
Hmm.
What you take in terms of energy, just like we talked about this morning, or not this morning, that at the top of the show, we talked about just taking everything in and letting it go.
Hmm.
That's a huge, huge thing, right?
Hmm.
Because so many times we take it in and we don't let it go. I had a
Don't let it
conversation with someone last night about what happens when you take that in and you don't let it go. It has to go somewhere.
go.
And if you don't
Mhm.
release it, then we have
It
internal problems.
it really, because it is released, it's just released in you.
That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
And that
Yep,
causes different problems.
that causes a whole lot of problems, a whole lot of problems. So yeah, it's imperative to let it go. And there are some people who find themselves like they choose food as their coping mechanism, if you will, in times of stress. And like, I get it. If that is the case, then it goes back to what you said, what you choose to eat.
Right.
So, I'm a big fan of, e- I don't believe in deprivation. Like, if you like chips, I'm not going to tell you don't ever eat chips. Or if you like mac and cheese, I'm not going to tell you don't ever eat mac and cheese. You just can't eat it every day.
Right.
Or you can choose healthier ways to integrate it into your life. So, if someone likes spaghetti or they love pasta, you say, okay, why don't you use zucchini, spiralized zucchini or sliced zucchini, use that in your spaghetti in
That's
lieu of
good.
noodles, and so you find healthy ways to still enjoy the foods that you love without um, kind of sacrificing that comfort, if that makes
Right.
sense.
So you're still eating, you're just eating healthier, you're using substitutes, and you're
Hmm.
able to still fulfill the need, right, of eating, but you're just
Hmm.
eating in a different way.
And still enjoying it.
Right. And that's
Hmm.
key.
And still
Because if
enjoyed it.
that's
Yeah.
all you get, if that's all you get in a crazy situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is if you can
Yeah.
get that.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what about meditation? Would you suggest just a couple minutes? Like we talked about, just a few breaths is all you need, right?
Hmm. So most people, they view meditation as like the monk on the TV, on the poster or whatever, or someone sitting Indian style on the floor for 5 hours with their eyes closed. And yes, that is meditation, but that doesn't they didn't start that way. And so taking it slowly, you can start off with a minute, you can start off with 2 minutes, you can start off with simply like closing your eyes and taking 3 deep breaths, like at your chair, at your desk, at work. You can do that, and that's considered meditation.
Yeah.
So it's about starting small and celebrating those wins. I don't believe in saying small wins. A win is a win. A W is a W. Whether you win by 1 or you win by 40, a
Right.
W is a W. So um, working your way there and knowing that meditation is a journey, and everyone's journey is different, and so your journey won't look like anyone else's. So enjoy your journey.
Right.
It's just you and God on the journey. So let them nurture you and enjoy it.
And even in that small window, Even in that small window, that's where the peace comes. Wherever you can have the peace, that's where you would enjoy the journey, right? Because this is a
That's it.
process. The process is, first of all, making sure that you get out, get the help and the
Safety.
support that you need. But every
Yep.
moment that you have to yourself, that you have to breathe, that you have to eat something healthy or healthier, just take those small wins until you're able to make them bigger, because that's going to give you the determination that's going to continue to keep you intentional every single time you have an opportunity to get something healthier. It's a win, and the small wins turn into big wins. And I think that is a part that, you know, so often when we're in the middle of it, and I can remember even myself being in the middle of it, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm always thinking about the kids. I'm grabbing something on the to go. I'm grabbing some, you know, and so there were times when I finally got to a place where I could breathe. That was like the biggest accomplishment. And it's, you know, it's really an intentional, focused mission to stay in that space where you have a small win. If we can get a small win every single day, then you know that you're worth getting out. Every time you have the opportunity to take a breath and think about how worthy you are, that's a small win. If you get 2 minutes today and by next week you have 10, and that seems to be so small for people who may not be in this situation, but every moment counts, every minute counts. And so if you can take the small wins and turn those into larger wins along the way, then you're winning.
Yep.
We're here for it. We're here for you on the other side of that. We're here for you on the other side of that. So I appreciate you, Nicole.
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, oh, brain don't fail me now. Yeah, it left. It's okay.
I was just talking about the smaller wins, getting to the bigger ones. I mean, and that is just so key. Each day is one step at a time. And so go ahead. You got it.
So,
that's okay.
So it's important, especially with children. And now that I'm a mom, I completely get it. But it's important to remember that without you, like you have to be there for them. So it's easy to sacrifice, but don't sacrifice to your detriment, because if you aren't there, then they don't have who they need.
Absolutely.
They don't have their anchor. And so if that's at the forefront of your mind, then I think that will help you govern your choices a little bit better, because you're not forsaking you in the process, but you're taking care of you so that you can continue to take care of and serve those who you're responsible for, those who are closest to you.
Yeah. And as when we keep those things, and that's why it's good that you're here. And I was going to say, I really appreciate you, because it's important that we come back to that focus, right? That we come back to why we're still trying to make sure our kids get through, why we're still trying to make sure that we get through. And it's important, and it's a focus that you won't necessarily see in the remedy diggity of the day, right? Because you're running around, you're doing all these things, you're trying to manage. But when you can focus, just even for a moment, if you can just focus, that will bring you back to your purpose and your mission and why you're doing what you're doing, and how important it is for you to get to the other side of that, so that you have the peace that you need.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have one more person that I wanted to bring on. I'm not sure if you can hear me, Mr. Stewart. Are you available? Can you hear me? I can see you in the green room. Okay, you're there. So I'm going to bring you all of us on for 1 second. I'm going to unmute you and bring you on. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hey.
How are you? Good. What's going on?
This is Brian Stewart, everyone. He's also a friend, and he has a few words that he wants to share. So I'm going to pull you out. Nicole, we're going to come out and we're going to give Brian the floor. And then, Brian, I'll come back in with you in just a few moments, okay? So
Sounds
take
good.
your time. All righty. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And As you can see, I'm reporting live from the man cave, as all men should have one. So I'm reporting live from the man cave. Thank you for having me. This is an awesome opportunity. I am B. Stewart. I am the author of Drop the Weight. I am the founder of Mission Manhood LLC. And this is a great opportunity. So I'm not going to be long, man. I just want to come in and give you just a little mental minute, some motivation. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about diet. And so I just want to give you really quick 3 G's to a healthy mindset. Yeah, 3 G's to a healthy mindset. That first G being grace. Give yourself some grace. I think that, when talking nutrition and diet, I think we think perfection. And I mean, from experience, I know I've seen the most committed exercise and nutrition extremists have bad days. You won't always get it right. Is what I mean. You won't always get it right. You have to give yourself some grace. There'll be some days you have to start over. There'll be some days you have to start over after you start over, but you have to give yourself grace. And no matter what you're doing, you can't beat yourself into defeat. Instead, like Dr. Nicole said earlier, celebrate your wins and learn from your bad days. That's what it's all about. It's about giving yourself grace. It's about falling down, getting back up, dusting yourself off, and allowing yourself the grace that you're worthy of. Okay, so that's your first G. Simple and plain. You acknowledge the mistake. You start again. You don't quit. You give yourself grace because you're worthy of it. All right, that's your first one. Right. Next, you have to get a growth mindset. All right, what do you mean by get a growth mindset, B. Stewart? Well, I'm glad you asked. So by get a growth mindset, so you have 2 types of mindsets, right? You have a fixed mindset and you have a growth mindset, right? So your fixed mindset says nothing is going to change. What has been is going to always be. No matter what I do, I have to always accept that. That's a fixed mindset. Now, a growth mindset says that I'm in a good place because I believe fully in my ability to grow. I'm going to say it again. I'm in a good place because I believe fully in my ability to grow. I believe in my ability to adapt, to evolve. That's a growth mindset. It says that I understand that things are going to change. And when they do change, I have to adapt. So you have to get a growth mindset in a nutrition, as far as your nutrition, as far as your diet. It has to be all about a growth mindset. I'm gonna go in, and I know we heard you all talking earlier about diets, and at the end of the day, it's all about eating right. Making good decisions with your food, making good decisions with your exercise regimen. It all begins with your mindset. You have to have a mindset that says, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be open. I'm gonna be open to adaptation. I'm gonna be open to the growth. I'm going to be open to the pain. I'm going to be open to everything that comes along with it. I'm going to be open to it because my mindset is not a fixed one. I'm not going to come into it and say, well, I've been this weight all this time and I guess that's what I got to be. No, I'm going to come into it and I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to win. Like, no matter what happens, I'm going to change with it. I'm going to change. I'm going to go where it goes. All right. So get a growth mindset. All right. Hey, finally, set achievable goals. This is the one. Now, this is the one. Set achievable goals, because we all want to win, right? We talk about wins, and we all want to win, but we want to win big, right? But you cannot win big if you've never done. Like, it'll be like me trying to go to the Olympics, and I want to go. So I'm gonna go. Me sitting here in this chair in my man room. I'm gonna go to the Olympics tomorrow. And I'm going to swim 100 meters. First of all, I can't swim. Let's start there. So I can't, that's unattainable for me. So I have to set realistic goals. All right. And you have to, when you're talking nutrition, diet, you have to hold yourself accountable. And that's what setting goals does. But instead of setting goals that are unattainable, your goals have to make sense. You know what I'm saying? So give yourself a big goal, let's say for the year, but then you break that goal down into months, right? You break that goal down into months. And what happens when you do that, it allows you to see your progress and stay motivated, because you're not looking at the bigger picture. You'll say, okay, well, you know what? In 2022, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. All right. And so you break that 50 pounds down in 12 months. And that right there looks a little more attainable, and you still reach your goal, But you know what? In January, I saw those 2 or 3 pounds. I saw those 5 pounds in February. I saw, your goals were attainable. Okay. And so, you know, that's pretty much it. You set goals that are attainable, and then you don't find yourself in a position where you're like, dang, I didn't lose 50 pounds, man. Now you're down again. All right. And so those are my 3 G's. All right. Give yourself some grace, get a growth mindset, and set attainable goals. All right. I hope that you learned something. It's your man, B. Stewart. All right.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
Listen, every now and then it's important that we get perspectives from everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And so setting the goals, when you talked about grace, I'm thinking, anytime we make a mistake, right? We're always looking at it several times over the day, over the month, over the year, and sometimes years. I can still think of things that I was like, why did I, years later, we can't go back to that. So allowing yourself for some grace and the growth mindset, all of those things, everything that you touched on, it just lined right into everything that we're trying to do. So I certainly appreciate that. I
thank you for having me. Grace matters, man. Grace.
It does matter. And the achievable goals, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what baby steps are all about. You can't do a big jump when you haven't started walking.
Right.
So little bit at a time.
You gotta set those goals. I remember when Daria first started losing her weight, I was so proud, but I was so jealous. I was so jealous. But I was motivated.
Right.
And so what that made me do was I wanted to do good because I saw her doing good, and I was trying to lose weight, and she was just killing it, right? And so in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go lose. I'm gonna get up tomorrow morning. Now, this is talking about somebody who has never run at all. So I'm telling myself, I'm running 10 miles tomorrow. I'm gonna get up. I'm doing 10 miles every day because it wasn't realistic. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so like
No.
at all. And so it's just one of those things that like you can just take anywhere. You have to make sure that your goals are realistic. And that speaks to everything. And I love this platform. And I'm great. I thank you for allowing me to be a Black male.
Yeah.
And to be in this space with Black women who already have the world against them. And so you allow me to be here. And so I thank you for that platform. But I wanted to also say that, setting goals, I mean, that relates to not only nutrition and diets, but relationships and everything. And, sometimes you have to baby step yourself out of a situation that's not
absolutely
beneficial for you, and set goals that are realistic. The realistic thing to do. I watched my auntie and I watched cousins, female cousins of mine be abused. And they all had, what's the word? Just these elaborate schemes to how they were going to escape. But I learned from my cousin, and she was one of those. I saw one of your earlier videos that was playing before it started, about people always asking the question, why were you there so long?
Yep.
And what I learned from her was that it's not that she didn't want to leave. It's that her plan required her to break her bigger plan down.
Have a strategy.
Right.
Absolutely.
So she could leave. And so it's just it's an awesome tie-in, into having this an overall healthy mindset and making sure that you're doing the right things that you need to do in order to be better for you. And so I thank you for the platform.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Dr. Nicole.
Nicole, awesome. Had me up there
Thank you.
meditating.
Come on now. You got to meditate.
I'm talking about up here.
It's actually so good to see you guys. So we're already friends before the podcast. So this is just like bringing home family for Thanksgiving. I'm excited about the weeks to come. I'm excited that you guys have said yes to the call or the cause. And so I'm looking forward to the next few weeks having some more discussions with the two of you. So thank you again. I'm going to move you. I'm going to move you out for just a moment. So hang tight and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks again. So, what an interesting evening. I thank everyone who joined in, who chimed in today. What I would like for you to do is be real intentional, especially for this month. If you would do me a favor and make sure that you share this podcast, share the ones that are coming up every single Tuesday. We're going to be giving away a special gift to the one who shares to the most people. We also have different things as it relates to domestic violence. So it's not just statistics, however, there are statistics. It's not just telling a story, but there are stories connected. And there are stories connected to everyone that will be here. There are stories connected, obviously, to me as the founder, but just so many things and so many nuggets that you can gain information about to dispel some of the myths. So I would like to just admonish you to tune in, to ask questions, to chime into the chat, to send your comments, to ask anything of the guests or of me, the host. I really, really am looking for the feedback so that we know what direction to go in and how we can help you get the information out. As always, we just wanted to let you know if there's any problems, if you're in a situation right now and you need help right away, please look at the domestic violence hotline. Give them a call. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Someone is actually a live person that will answer the phone if you have an issue. As always, you can reach out to us. Follow us on our Facebook pages, on our Instagram at Another Woman's Story. If you want to go to our Instagram page, again, it's at Another Woman's Story. Our Facebook page, some of you are there now, Another Woman's Story. Please go ahead and sign up to be a friend, to follow us so that we can send you any information as it relates to our organization. But we definitely want to make sure that you chime in next week. Every Tuesday for the month of October, if you missed that announcement, we'll be here because this is National Domestic Violence Month. I encourage you to do some research. I encourage you to pay attention to your friends and your family. I encourage you to have these conversations, even though they're uncomfortable conversations, so that you can save a life. One woman at a time, one story at a time. As always, it's a pleasure. I love you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.